back. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Welcome to Boomer Life on CIL 650. I'm George Gordon. Today we're talking with Jim Doyle, Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group Financial Services, Inc. Now, by way of introduction, Jim has a very impressive set of credentials behind his name: CFP, CLUTEP, CDFA, and CIWM. Most importantly, he's got 27 years experience in talking to people about their financial planning so that when they get to that point where, you may not have as many years left on the life spectrum, you've got the money. That's what's so important. Our guest also today is from Zoomer Media, CARP and Joy TV, and Carmen TV is Carmen Ruiz Ilaza. And we were talking just before the break about a special new edition of Zoomer magazine, and that it's specifically aimed at the West Coast. And I think that's important to point out, and the benefits of that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes, Zoomer magazine is a national magazine, of course, and for the first time, it's having a special edition just for us in the West Coast. Because I think what's happening here is that our national office in Toronto recognizes that BC is needing special attention. And they've got Ontario well managed. 30% of our membership is out there. And Vancouver, BC is 12. So they thought, let's put our attention to where the need is. And through lots of lobbying by BC, they're turning to us out here. So we always have the Zoomer show. We've got, for example, an ad in this magazine that's just for the Zoomer show that only the BC people would get, or the West Coast. And we will have advertisers speak to our demographic and in our zones. And Wanda Morris, for example, will be writing her editorial articles based on what the needs are specifically for the West Coast. So those are all very exciting things.
Terrific. Also, we got coming up is the Zoomer show. So tell us about when that's coming and what's significant about this show.
Well, I want to say thank you to CIL, because you've been a partner of ours since the very beginning of the Zoomer show. So thanks for getting the word out there. Last year we had over 23,000 people walk through those doors on that weekend. So this year it's March 11, 12. And it's a big trade show for our gang. So it's anything that you need from investments to travel to health. And we have a special British Isles zone for fun. It's going to be fantastic. And I'm particularly in love with the Zoomer show because I get to MC the main stage. And it's like a rock concert all weekend. And we have the Beatles tribute bands, and we have, just go to zoomershow.ca website.
Perfect.
Get everything you need there. And of course, everythingzoomer.com is the magazine website. I think it's zoomershow.com, pardon me.
Zoomershow.com. All right, mark that down. Now, Jim Doyle, you deal with a lot of the same issues in your planning practice on a daily basis as folks in Zoomer and at CARP. Tell us a bit more about what are the synergies that you two share.
Well, I'm really happy to see organizations like CARP helping people deal with many of the issues that they address, the advocacy that they undertake, and, of course, their part in enhancing financial literacy.
Financial literacy is it's the opposite of not knowing where the dollars all went. I mean, you can make a ton of money and be poor if you don't handle it correctly. So talk to us a bit more about this bedrock of your practice, Jim.
I think one of the challenges a lot of people face is embarrassment and frustration and fear because they don't understand their choices and they don't feel in control. We want to fix that. Okay. You might be familiar with the story about the three blind men in a room with an elephant for the very first time, and they're asked to describe what an elephant is. The first one unknowingly touches the tail, and he says with confidence, "This is what an elephant is." The next touches the elephant's trunk and says, "This is what an elephant is." And the last man touches a leg and describes the elephant as a stout tree trunk, okay? The reality is, each only has a part of the story. And I think financial literacy is somewhat the same. And it's possible you may not see all of the issues and the matters that need to be considered before you make the necessary decisions. Sometimes you just need a fresh set of eyes looking at the whole picture. The more you know, the greater the likelihood of making good, informed decisions.
Well, Carmen, we've talked about CARP. We've shed some light on it. This is for people of all ages to get involved. You can join. You've got 300,000 members. And it's important that numbers make a bigger voice.
Numbers do, and coming into the provincial election, that's how you get feet to the fire campaign is something else that CARP is involved with in Ottawa, and it's basically making sure that the politicians keep their promises. And the more people we have, the more they pay attention. So just, I encourage everyone of any age to join CARP.
Carmen, a couple of you were telling me about was special needs son who really depended on CARP for volunteer opportunities. Share us that story.
Yeah, I think sometimes we all focus on, the advocacy and all the good things that CARP does, but also some of the human interest stories are community. Very simple things that you can do to make someone's life better day by day. So we have our chapter treasurer for Vancouver, Harold Catt, and he organizes these wonderful hikes, gentle hikes, obviously. 20 people will get together and we'll go for these beautiful hikes. We have another couple who have a special needs son, and he came to me directly at one of these events, and he begged me, please keep me on the list. Let me know when we have another event because I need to get out of my house. They've been caring for their adult son now for so long that they've maybe lost touch with their own friends and just wanted to escape. So just for a few minutes, a few hours. So what you'll meet is some of these people at the Zoomer show because they will be manning the Zoomer, the CARP booth at the Zoomer show. So all the chapters come and they're there for you to talk to. So we offer the serious things in advocacy, the benefits. Everybody loves to get a deal. But what I find a lot of people really enjoy is the sense of community that we can offer.
How did you benefit then from meeting Jim? I know we talked a little bit about how you guys connected and so on. So then in your other work, how did meeting Jim benefit that?
Well, that's being associated with CARP taught me that aging is a fact and that retirement is a fact and that there's all these facts that you too are part of the fact. And I was ignoring a lot of reality in my life, honest to God. Mm-hmm. It's like I thought I was doing great or there were things I didn't want to really look at. So when I met with Jim and I laid out my paperwork on the table, it was a face-to-face meeting with my reality. I could no longer ignore the truth. And it was gentle, but it was hard. And I figured, it's up to me. I need to take care of this. So I like that he's a financial concierge.
What a great term.
Isn't it? I love that. And it's like anything to do with finances, I can go to Jim. And if he's not available, Paige is always right there to answer the phone. They're a dynamic duo, these two. And, the door is always open and no problem is too big. And more importantly, it's not too small.
You are not alone. If you're listening right now saying, oh, man, that's me. I'm stuck. I have to, perhaps not a special needs son, but often you're taking care of the parents. You're trying to hold down a job. You have so much on your plate. Look, if some of these stories sound familiar to you, then you can benefit from sitting down with people like Jim. If you want to call Jim, his number is 604-682-5431. Or you can reach him at jimdoyle.ca. Pretty easy to remember. A good Irish name, jimdoyle.ca. And that whole page there, speaking of page, we'll be talking to her in just a minute, but that page will lead you to a lot of information about what Jim does, and I think it's very important that you check in. If you're now sensing that you have a connection, somebody that can help you out, give you some advice, there are the connections. 604-682-5431, www.jimdoyle.ca.
Well, thanks, George.
How might you see moving forward from just some of the advice that we got right here?
Well, sometimes it just comes down to the simplest of things. On the surface, they look simple, but you dig a little bit deeper, maybe not quite so simple after all. It's not uncommon for people that we meet that they feel that they have a budget, okay? And that's their financial plan. And I think they might be letting themselves down a little bit.
In terms of, okay, I've got the groceries covered, I've got the car payment covered, I've got the mortgage payment covered, I'm putting aside a little bit for a vacation, but they might be forgetting that, okay, if I was thinking about that at 25, good for me, but I'm not 25, I'm not 35, I'm not 45 anymore. Holy cow, if I'm going to think about those years, what plan have I got in place for that?
Well, here's a part I think that hurts a little bit. The benefits of a documented financial plan are unknown to many Canadians. It's not uncommon for many of the people we started working with to feel that they have a pretty good idea of what they need to do to reach their financial goals, but they didn't need to write anything down. One phrase we sometimes hear, the sense that their financial situation doesn't require a financial plan.
Everybody needs a plan. Is it getting over that shyness, the embarrassment? Is that the toughest thing for you? You must be a pretty good listener.
I'd like to think I can be. But you're right. Everybody approaches this a little bit different. They bring their own history and experiences to the table. And I think that time has to be made to uncover that, okay? To get to really know people a little bit. And I really want to emphasize that. Get to know people a little bit, okay? What's your drivers? What's your fears? What's your ambitions, okay? Only then can we start talking about how you can do something to solve the problems that might be in your financial world.
Well, the budget can be a great tool for the short-term planning, as we've now pointed out, but it's the long-term. You need to talk to somebody like Jim Doyle and Paige Brettel, his assistant, who can get you to that point where you can think about, okay, I have a choice to retire here, and this is what I would have, and my circumstances are going to be taken into consideration. Now, Carmen, I know that you've become far more aware of budgeting and financial planning, and that they go hand in hand. A budget alone may not help. In what sorts of areas have you found that it's helped you with financial planning, personal goals, financial needs, priorities?
Well, I started looking at my parents have an estate plan already in place. So I was actually talking to Jim about this. It's in Spain. So then we started talking about the reality of that. So I actually had a conversation with my mother just a couple of days ago and asked her, because, what about inheritance taxes? And this is the thing with my mother. It's like she's very open to discussing this because her parents had an estate plan in place. She has an estate plan. And my mother talks about the end of life. This is what will happen. This is what you'll get. And I pretended always that money wasn't there. But suddenly when I'm talking to Jim, I thought, oh, right, I have all these assets. And to make sure that they're protected. And also, Jim was right. The budget is not enough. And so discretionary spending, when you're in a whole stop digging, right? And so discretionary spending, when you're in a whole stop digging, right? Like stop. So, and now it's a matter of just conscious decisions. And now I'm hungry for that plan to succeed. Mm-hmm. Like that's my priority. Before it was a sideline. It's like, oh, I'll always make more money. Doesn't matter. Like it'll be fine.
I'll work forever.
Yeah, because, and I plan to, but that's not the point, is it? Yeah. What if I can't? What if I have to adapt my lifestyle because of something that I'm not in control of? What happens to me then? And this is the thing about being with carpets taught me a lot of these realities. And so whatever Jim says, I just do it.
Oh.
Maybe not as well as I could, but I'm learning fast.
Well, there's so many things like besides income, expenses, taxes.
Oh, no. I can't even say that word.
but yet we have to, because I know in retirement I've had a few surprises, and CARP can help out with, like, and I think Jim also referred to the example of the elephant story. If you think an elephant is the tail, if you're a blind person and you touch that one part, you think that's it. But if you're retiring, there are so many other things that you have to think about.
Pensions overseas, they've just been slashed by 25%. You've got to know the reality of what to expect, and then how do you make that work. So all I know is I've never studied finance. I don't understand it very well. And I came to Jim and admitted that. And you know what? I'm fine, because there are a lot of other things that I do know. But as long as we stop pretending that we're fine and that we can manage on our own when we in fact don't have enough, that would be my advice to people, really. It's okay that you don't know. That's what he's there for.
Yeah, admit it.
Admit it. It's fine.
Yeah, you are not a failure because you admit your shortcomings. Now you can move ahead. You know what the problem is. You can go to people like Jim and find the solution.
It's a very, very difficult field to navigate on your own, and just get someone that you trust, because that's when problems begin. So have your meeting with Jim. I just highly recommend it. Just take the meeting and go for it.
Great advice. How can you argue with life-enhancing benefits like comfort and peace of mind and confidence? Thank you so much for this reminder. It's about financial habits as much as investment performance that will determine your financial success. We appreciate hearing about CARP and what it's up to. And if you'd like to join CARP, or you'd like to reach out to Carmen, you can give her a call at 604-312-8812, or you can shoot her an email at carmentv@zoomermedia.ca. We're going to be back with more with Jim Doyle, Paige Brattle, and Carmen in just a moment on Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.